Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 51 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today, we're going to talk about packing for your all-inclusive vacation. First, though, we have a couple of pieces of news we wanted to talk through.
Universal released dates for their holiday happenings. Halloween Horror Nights, which is a separately ticketed event, will be from August 29th through November 2nd. And the holidays at Universal will start November 21st through December 31st. So they have not released Halloween Horror Nights tickets, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to get ahead of the game and get a room and package, do it now so you have your pick of dates.
Yeah, especially with Epic Universe being open, I have a feeling that the holidays at Universal are going to be bananas.
I think so too. And we've already seen prices rising for Epic a little bit now that people have been doing previews. And I can only imagine that after in the next couple weeks, they're just going to skyrocket when it finally opens publicly.
Speaking of Epic Universe, just as an FYI, for those of you that have happened to be potentially going down during the preview period, Battle at the Ministry is going to be offline for probably kind of last minute tweaking. It will be closed between May 10th and May 16th. Also, the Viking training camp is going to be closed that same week, May 13th through the 16th. So just as an FYI, we don't want you to go down expecting to be able to ride those attractions and they won't be available.
You can still go in and see the ride queue for Battle of the Ministry, though. So that's cool that they're letting people do that even when the ride is down. Disney Cruise Line announced that the Wonder is returning to Australia and New Zealand for another season of magic. And for a limited time, you can save up to 30% off your fare on select Australian and New Zealand cruises, available for sailings from October 19th, 2025 to February 3rd, 2026. And that includes repositioning cruises, which if you can snag one of those, that's a huge savings because those are already knocked down.
And then last but not least, there are a couple of new Adventures by Disney itineraries that have been released. Switzerland, and there's also a new Greek adventure that has been released. And now that brings the total Adventures by Disney options to 44 land and river adventures, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that Switzerland one looks really cool because they're going to go to the Matterhorn.
And the Greek one actually covers Greek mythology, which to me, that would be totally just right up my alley. I love stuff like that. I'm total nerd when it comes to things like that. So I would be really interested in learning about that.
I actually called into Adventures by Disney for a client wanting to go to Greece, and it happened like right as they were announcing it. And so it was on the website, and I was like, wait a minute, is it this adventure like this year? And they're like, no, we're still learning about this. And I was like, what's going on? It's because it's a new adventure. So that's why I was confused, and it wasn't the one that Lindsay was on here talking about. Should we jump into our episode?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So since I just got back from an all-inclusive, I thought it would be fun to kind of talk through what we packed, what you don't need, just like some little things too that you just probably don't think about. It is a little bit different than cruising, and it is a little bit different than just like your run-of-the-mill beach vacation, but there are some crossover. So hopefully you can find something of use. So the first part we're going to talk about is the essentials. Make sure you have your passport and your travel documents, and take it a step further and screenshot any important documents or confirmations. Even if you're going to another country and have cell service on your plan, you may have to dig in your settings to set up data roaming. My phone automatically turned that on, and I couldn't pull anything up until I did a deep dive and had to toggle that data roaming. So make sure you have those. Also, take photos of your birth certificates, your passports, your driver's license, and email them. My husband and I emailed them to each other. So if we happen to lose a passport, if we happen to lose our phone, we had a digital copy somewhere and we'd have a way to get into our email if we really needed them. just as a reminder, processing time for passports is like 6 to 8 weeks. So if you have something on the books, make sure that you're getting that process going now.
Yeah, because you don't want to be that's that's something that's so stressful. You don't want to be stressed and panicked that you don't have that at the last minute or that you're trying to use, their expedited delivery or, urgent processing kind of thing.
There are some countries too that, just as a reminder, they won't let you travel and get into their country if you have less than 6 months on your passport.
Oh, yeah.
So renewal
Good point.
is in the same boat. So I think the renewal is a little bit quicker than a brand new whole passport, but don't chance it.
Basically, I know we're talking about AI, but, cruises definitely, anytime you go on a cruise, you have to have your passport renewed before that 6-month mark. So that's always a good rule to use regardless. Make sure that you have all of your travel insurance information. Digital copies and printed copies also is a good backup to have in case you need it. We were just talking about one of our agents that she's on a trip with her family, and her sweet little granddaughter had accidentally spilled coffee. I think it was coffee got spilled on her, and she had second-degree burns and ended up being in the hospital and is, can't go into the water. She can't go into the pool, which is just so sad for her. But making sure that you have that and knowing that you have that information so that you can use it when needed, it's really important.
Something else to make sure that you have is plug adapters. Usually, Mexico and most of the Caribbean is on the same type of plug, type A, as we in the United States are. But just double check what they have in your destination. So if you need an adapter, then you have one.
Headphones are extremely important to me.
And everybody around you on a
And
plane.
everybody around you on the plane, yes, or anywhere that you are. I am an avid listener of podcasts and audiobooks, and I can't survive without them. So that's something definitely that's always going to be on my checklist for packing. Make sure that you have headphones or earbuds or some kind of way to listen to any of the audio, obviously without everyone else having to listen to whatever it is that you're listening to.
Make sure that you have your phone and a charger, and make sure you actually also have a brick for your cord for your charger. A lot of these resorts don't have USB cord, like USB ports. So yes, Disney is up with times and they have USBs in their walls. We're going to a different country. They're not. And in that same breath, make sure you have a portable phone charger for if you're roaming and trying to look for a signal on your phone, you're draining your battery super quick.
If you're going to be bringing a camera in addition to using your phone, make sure you have that and the charger that goes with it as well. If you end up bringing your camera and then you accidentally forget the charger, then that's going to be no fun.
It's
And I'm
nothing
sure really
worse.
annoying.
I always like to take a new book. I'll usually pick up a fun beach read before I go because they're twice the price in the airport. And who knows what they have on site. So if you want a new book, or make sure you've downloaded a new audiobook. So if you have service, make sure that that is queued up and ready to go.
And then last but not least in our essentials section is cash for tipping. While you are in all inclusive, you may not have a ton of expenses, a lot of the things you're getting as part of your stay. However, it is very nice and, of course, acceptable to tip your shuttle drivers for bell services, housekeeping, if, tipping for a meal, and also if you're getting drinks at a bar or at the poolside, that's really nice to give them something a little extra.
And usually when you tip, you'll get a lot better service than the people next to you who do not. So
They'll
pro tip
remember
there.
you.
Yes. If you want better service, just tip. And then these are all things I like to keep in a backpack or a little carry-on, because if you do drop your bag at bell services, if your room isn't ready, then you can hit the pool. So maybe also keep one of your swimsuits handy just so you have it. So next, let's move into clothing.
This is always a tough one. I feel like definitely for females because we want to pack for every possible situation. You don't want to overpack, but you don't want to underpack. So these are some good kind of breakdown of some things that you could pack for your trip.
Yeah, and I always try to pack in a carry-on So then it's like forcefully, like, you got to edit like half this.
Okay. So 2 to 3 swimsuits at an all inclusive. You're most likely going to live in your swimsuit. So make sure that you're packing at least two. Three is probably better to allow time for you to kind of rinse them off and let them dry in between wearing.
I'm
Also,
weird and will take one for every day
I don't
because
think that's weird.
you
I
can
don't,
bunch them up and they don't take up a lot of space.
yeah. Also, cover ups. I might even bring only one of these, but I think having 2 to 3 helps because you're doing, changes up your day. You have something different to wear, and it allows you to kind of go back and forth between the pool and if you needed to go in to grab something or go to into one of the like poolside restaurants or something like that. You're not just in your bathing suit. You have something on that you can walk around in.
Well, and most of these rooms are a hike from the actual pool or from the beach. So it's awkward just to be walking around in your swimsuit anyway. And then I know that there are a lot of places that even if it's like a beachside like lunch spot, they still require you to have some sort of cover on because
Yeah.
they like for cleanliness and just out of respect for all the other guests, they like won't let you in if you're not covered. So I always have a couple. I like to kind of switch it up like with my swimsuits, like I'm weird and we'll have like different straps for different tan lines and I'll do the same thing with cover ups, whether it's like maybe one day I'll do like a shorts and a t-shirt. Some days I do like a dress just to kind of like switch it up every day.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so you don't feel like you're wearing the same thing every day.
Yes.
Probably, depending on how long you are there, at least 3 dresses that I feel like, a nice sundress for the evening. It doesn't have to be like a formal evening gown or anything, but something that you feel a little bit dressy that you can wear to dinner, but it's not like overly, hot, especially, if you're in a warmer climate. And if you're okay with re-wearing a dress, which I am absolutely okay with that, that's obviously fine too. So probably 3 is a good number.
Um, throw in a couple pairs of shorts. You may not find yourself needing that, but it's always nice just to have something for like a casual daytime outfit, especially if you were like doing anything off property. I'd also say if you had something like I like biker shorts, something easy to slip on that you can run and grab coffee in the morning, or if you're going down to breakfast, something that's just like if you want to go to grab ice down the hall that you don't have to get fully dressed. It's just something quick and easy to throw on.
And I'm probably more of a like Krystle, more of a biker short. If I'm going to wear shorts, it's going to be biker shorts. I probably wear capri leggings more often than anything. So that would probably be the replacement for my shorts, but something in that same category. And then along with that, 1 to 2 short sleeve tops, something that you feel comfortable in. That's just same concept as what Krystle was saying, just casual daytime outfit that you can run out and grab something in, or something that you may want to wear on your travel days, something that's like just really easy.
You probably need a pair of lightweight pajamas. You could probably get away with one, depending on how you like to sleep, maybe two. But if you're doing laundry, or if you're okay with one pair.
Yeah, I would probably be fine with 1 pair.
Yeah.
And I know this seems like it should be you know, an automatic, but don't forget to bring your bras and underwear. Just making sure that that's out there. You don't want to forget those. Those you don't want to be stuck somewhere without them, for sure.
Another one you might not think about is shapewear and pasties. If you know, you know. If you're wearing like a strapless dress, you might need something for the girls, some tape or something or other. I like to wear like a very it's almost like nylon type material shorts under my dresses, especially in the heat. So you're not having all the issues.
Yeah. At least 1 pair of casual sandals for the pool or the beach. I'm a flip-flop person, so that would probably be my go-to for this type of sandal.
Next category is going to be evening wear. So usually something like resort casual or dressy casual for dinner. There are a lot of resorts that do require something nicer. So especially for men, like a long pant and like a closed-toed shoe. So John, he had a pair of like Travis Matthews joggers that he loves to travel in. They're super comfy. And so he took those and also wore them on our dressy dinner nights. And then he had a pair of like reef boat shoes that were like closed toed. So it met the requirements, but it was also not
See.
something like, yeah, not over the top. Heels or a dressy sandal. I have a pair of reef sandals that are very comfortable that I wear all the time and they're nice enough that I can get away wearing them dressy, but I can also dress them down if I need to. So that was like my go-to, but I know people want a heel or something nicer. So maybe something versatile that you can wear with a couple different outfits.
Yeah, like a wedge. I would probably just wear like a wedge sandal of some sort. That'd probably be the easiest for me. Having a small wallet to kind of carry all of your things around, maybe even a small like clutch or handbag. That's also something for women that would be something you would want to bring just so that you have something to carry things around in, but it's not like overly casual.
A lot of resorts now are going to like a bracelet to scan into rooms that you can't take off.
Mhm.
So like I have a phone case that I can put a card and a couple bills in. So like if you had like something that went on the back of your phone or even just like I don't know, even like a little coin purse that you could throw in,
Yeah.
you're going to want something for cash, like when you're tipping, especially at the pool. Next is jewelry. I wouldn't take anything that's too expensive. Maybe a fun costume statement pieces for your dinner outfits, like some fun earrings.
Yeah.
I personally use a travel wedding ring. I can link it. It's the best $15 I've ever spent, and I get compliments on it all the time because I don't want anything to happen to my good ring while we're traveling or like be targeted because of it. So just keep that in mind. Don't take grandma's pearls to Mexico, people.
Definitely not. Bring the cheapy stuff. Okay, so moving into the next category, toiletries and personal items. Make sure that you bring some reef safe sunscreen. And when you're thinking of sunscreen, always pack at least twice as much as what you think you'll need. I don't think we ever have enough sunscreen. Anytime we go, I mean, just going to like the beach, it seems like you use it up so fast and making sure that you have enough for everybody.
Something else to think about is some like aloe or after sun care because you are going to be living in your swimsuit. You are going to see the sun. Since I carry on, I grabbed 4 or 5 different types and kinds of sunscreen. I had like a spray, a lotion. I had like a misting. I had like a powder. So I had a whole bunch of different travel size. We went through most of it and then it left room for souvenirs on the way home. But it was good to rotate through all the different kinds. Even John mentioned, he's like, that was the way to do it. So it kind of, if we missed something with the spray, we got it the next day with the lotion.
You're right. Exactly. Right. Next thing, especially in, some of the if you're doing some of the off property adventures or excursions, making sure that you have bug spray. It's really important so that you don't get eaten alive by bugs, especially mosquitoes. They're nasty little boogers and they will eat you alive while you're out on your excursions.
I'm going to share a little cuckoo tip with you all. I've known people who have lived in Africa for a couple of years and other countries, and they told me about how they would take garlic pills basically daily. So I've adopted that when I'm traveling, and the mosquitoes hate it, and I don't have to worry about bug spray. I hate the feeling of bug spray. John thought I was crazy, and then he started getting eaten alive in the Dominican Republic, and I did not get a single bite the entire time. And we walked by people on the beach who looked like they had chickenpox because their legs
Gosh, that's awful.
were eaten alive by mosquitoes. So maybe try the garlic pills.
I'm gonna have to try that with Ella because like she can't even walk around in South Carolina
I
and
do
not
it
getting
when
eaten
we
alive.
come to Charleston because they can get bad at
Yeah,
night.
she gets eaten alive. It's
So
terrible.
that's my little woohoo for you. Next one is medication. Always take more than you think you need. Make sure you have your prescription meds. Take a couple days extra, but maybe like some Imodium, maybe like some tummy stuff, digestion, pain relief.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go to the little store and pay $35 for one Tylenol, especially when you can't read it and there's like a language barrier and you're like, I know exactly what I'm getting here.
Yeah.
So just take a little prescription bag with you of some household things you're used to.
When it comes to your makeup, keep it lightweight. I think having travel size versions of anything that you typically use is going to be your best bet, especially with also with like your skincare, any of your shampoo and conditioner, those kinds of things. That always makes things a lot easier as well because you kind of have to do that to begin with, but if you're flying, but it helps with the cosmetic side as well.
And I would just say to make sure you don't depend on the resort to provide you shampoo and conditioner because if you're going to a different country, chances are they might have something, but not your full set of
What you typically use.
yeah hairstyling tools. You can skip the hair dryer, but don't forget like a flat iron. I have a curling iron flat iron combo that I use specifically for traveling, and it has been a game saver. They have like travel size ones now, and just kind of maybe check the voltage.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And then having a small first aid kit that has just the basics for blisters, band-aids, antibiotic creams, that kind of stuff in case you need it. That's always good to have it in your suitcase.
Next on the list is some resort extras that you probably be glad that you brought, not necessities whatsoever, but just things to think through. We took like our Stanley water bottles. We never took them down the pool. We never ended up using them, but we saw a lot of people who had an insulated cup or tumbler just to keep their drinks cold by the pool. If they would have had Diet Coke at the resort, I probably would have had it, but they were Pepsi people. So it wasn't worth me filling it up all day.
The waterproof phone pouch, I love these, and I actually bought them not just for obviously for all inclusives, but just any trip. I love having it if I want to take it into the water, into the pool, or if I want to have it by the pool and I don't want to worry about it getting wet or dropped in the water. They're awesome and they take up like zero space in your suitcase.
Snorkel gear, if you would prefer your own, like if you have some fancy snorkel gear. I know that there's some kid gear that's very specific that they might not have at the resort. Some resorts provide this, but you might have to rent it. Maybe some travel laundry detergent if you are wanting to wash anything in your sink.
I will have zero plans to do any laundry while I'm on vacation.
Me too. But I know people who do it and love it.
I know, but I think this would probably be more for like almost like an emergency. For me, it would be literally taking just a tiny bit just in case something got like super muddy or messed up. I wouldn't use it with the plans of doing laundry. It would be more for an emergency situation.
That's why you just take like shout wipes or a shout pen or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's probably what I would use. Okay, reusable straw. These things are really a lifesaver, I think, for anybody that loves having a straw. It's just nice to have one, especially in a lot of the resorts. They started using paper straws or, recyclable straws, which is fantastic. I love that people have moved to that. They don't last very long. If you want a straw that will last you all day while you're refilling your cup with Diet Coke, you need to have a reusable straw.
We kind of talked about this earlier, but like a book, e-reader, Audible, or playing cards, something to keep you busy. We saw a lot of couples actually playing cards poolside or at night. Like if there was a band playing, they would just be over there on the table playing cards, which I thought that was such a good idea.
And it is something that you don't really think about. I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a
And
small thing. It's not like it takes up that much room either.
now that my kids are older, I'm thinking I need to just keep a deck on us at all times because we could figure out something to keep them busy.
Yeah. Sunglasses, probably bringing at least 2 pair just in case you lose one. It's, being in places like the Dominican or in Mexico and the sun is very bright and it's very helpful to have sunglasses. Along with that, having a sun hat, something that's going to keep the sun off of your face. Anything that's like a wide brim hat or something with a visor that's going to help keep your face from getting completely roasted throughout the day.
Yes. I'm weird. I don't like to take expensive sunglasses with me on vacation in fear that I'm going to lose them. So Amazon has so many good like options now that are like good. My $10 Amazon ones look fancy and act fancy, but if I lose them,
You don't care.
I don't care. Sun hat, the have you seen the ones that like roll up?
Mm-hmm.
I took one of those, lifesaver, because it gets down small. And then I took like a baseball cap just to have like the option. I will say if you're going to carry a big sun hat through an airport, get one of the magnetic little clips. I came home with my two hats from Unico last year and carried them through the airport and didn't have anything to like, so I was carrying them with my carry-on and my backpack, and I was about ready to throw my hats away in Miami because I was so tired of carrying them without trying to get them smashed. So a lot of properties will allow like a floaty, so like a inflatable if you would like one to like float around. If you get in your like resort's Facebook page, sometimes people are leaving them if they're leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and you can like snag them if you don't mind borrowing them. But again, just get something cheap that a lot of people leave them behind or
Yeah,
throw
I was
them
gonna
away
say
when
I
you're
would
done.
definitely do not think that I would bring that back. I think that I would get there, blow it up, and then just leave it.
Uh-huh.
And then you also need to check with wherever it is that you're staying because some of them don't necessarily allow it. You have to make
Correct.
sure that they do.
Something else we took was a GoPro. I was very glad that we had it on our snorkeling excursion. Just make sure you have it, all the things, the charger, something they'll float with, like so you're not just holding the little square because that's annoying. I have a lanyard for ours and it's lifesaver. Something else I always take when we're anywhere with water. I have a couple of wet bags, one for me, one for my husband, and we keep our books in them. We'll put our phones or our watches just to keep them sand free or dry if we're by the pool.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of something we've adopted that we each have a wet bag. It fits our book. It can help save your seat, but then you're not dealing with all this sand too. Ours both have handles, so like when we go to Isle Palms and we have our beach chairs, we'll like hang it off the handles of the nice beach chairs. And it's just been something we've adopted anytime we're on like a summer vacation.
Oh, yeah.
So I give them as gifts a lot too because I'm like, put a book in here, put your phone in here, your Apple Watch. They're good for snacks because the blowing sand is what will like ruin your phone
Oh, absolutely.
more so than the water. So yeah, it keeps the things dry. Something else that we had was some towel elastics or like beach chair towel elastics. So
Oh,
they'll
yeah. Towel in place.
hold your towel in place. We could save our seats with it. And like people will do the towel clips, but the towel clips can be so cumbersome and they're so big and just weird. They might not fit the chair. So the elastics take up zero room and they're great for all inclusives. I think I found a couple at the Target dollar section. It was like a two set for $3. So that was one of John even commented. He's like, these are the best things you brought with us.
And that's definitely something that does not take up any room.
No. Something else to be just kind of aware of is if you're doing any excursions, make sure that you have excursion appropriate wear. When we were in the Dominican, we saw a popular excursion in the Dominican is the buggy excursions, whether they're on ATVs or like side by sides, and they're basically mudding through the country. We saw so many people come back and they were just drenched in mud. I probably would have taken like an old pair of clothes if we would have done that and just left them or thrown them away just so they didn't ruin anything because I saw one girl freaking out that she had like a white Lululemon crossbody and it was ruined. There was no way that that mud was coming out of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So like I have like a swimsuit that I got from Athleta that's like a beach volleyball kind of swimsuit,
Mhm.
but I got it so when I'm like playing with my kids, I don't feel like I'm like falling out,
Yeah.
if you know that feeling. So maybe like something nicer like that instead of like a little bikini if you're snorkeling with a bunch of people. Or if you're hiking the waterfalls, maybe take some Tevas or like a better hiking waterproof sandal than just like flip flops. John specifically made sure he had a swimsuit that he could swim all day in, but he could also walk for an hour or two in after, and it wasn't like rubbing or chafing. And that was something to like keep in mind because, you're walking to the place, you're getting off and walking up and down the beach. We're walking through the markets after, and he didn't have time to change. So, and I know that a lot of men's swimsuits are not super comfortable that way.
Yeah.
So,
They want to take them off like immediately after.
yeah. So just kind of like think through what you're doing. And if you can survive for an hour or two on either end. Think through that a little bit.
Okay, so we've kind of talked through just like in general packing. We thought we'd also throw in just a couple of things for if you are traveling with kids. We've talked about this before on other episodes, so some of these things are very similar. Making sure that you have kid snacks packed, that you could easily bring floaties or water toys, packing extra swimsuits. I know this is a big one for Krystle. She likes to have a lot of extra swimsuits for her kids, just because it's just not worth it to have to deal with drying
No
them
one
out.
hates putting on a wet swimsuit and dealing with the wrath of a ornery child because their swimsuit is wet.
Yeah, yeah. Baby diapers, wipes, lots and lots of sanitizer for the little hands that like to touch everything. We did talk about, Krystle mentioned bringing a pack of cards. So anything like that that's small and easy, small travel games, easy games that you can bring. And then sand toys. If you are going to a resort that has a beachy area, having sand toys where you don't have to spend a ton of money on them at the resort. I'm sure all of the resorts have stuff like this available, but it's just an extra expense if it's something that you already have. A lot of times there are collapsible sand toys that are really easy to travel with that you can get and take with you.
Those collapsible buckets are game changers because if you buy a set at the resort, what are you doing with it? Are you leaving it there? So you're going to spend $40 for a couple days of enjoyment when you can spend 15 on Amazon and
Yeah,
bring it home with you.
exactly.
Some things you don't need to pack. You don't need towels. Every resort has towels. Be careful with too many shoes. John did take a pair of sneakers to travel in, and he said that it was kind of a waste because they just sat there all week. So I also had to do some shoe editing before we could leave because I had too many sandals. We talked about hair tools, just making sure you check your voltage and plugs. I wouldn't worry about a hair dryer, especially if you have a nice like Dyson or something. It's probably going to blow. The voltage isn't the same.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
why when you do go to those places that it takes you like 45 minutes to dry your hair because it just doesn't work quite that way.
I would avoid any heavy books and then any valuables. So don't worry about those.
Definitely some of the things that you don't want to bring with you. Specifically, I think obviously you want to check the country that you're in, but a lot of times bringing e-cigarettes, CBD oil, any cannabis related products, if they realize that you have them upon entry, that it's not going to go well for you. So really make sure that you're paying attention to that. Really drugs of any kind, bringing those across country borders, and internationally, that's never a good idea. Be careful of medications that contain pseudoephedrine, like Sudafed, things that it's basically similar to here in the United States where we're not able to purchase those without showing your license. Obviously, do not bring any weapons. Bad idea. Be careful of sharp objects in your carry-on, things that you wouldn't necessarily think as, you're not thinking of them as it's not a weapon, it's not intended to be a weapon, but there are things that could be sharp that you don't realize. So just kind of be cognizant of that. I actually I wasn't thinking anything about it, and this was when I was like 20 years old or something. No, actually, no, I wasn't 20. I was older than 20. I don't know, maybe 25, but still, I was young, and I wasn't thinking anything about it. And I had a wine opener, and I just threw it in my carry-on, I think, and it had, like the spike, to be able to like put it into the cork, and that was immediately found. And I was so like, what? I do not have anything. I have nothing in my bag. I was so like stressed out. And they pull out, the wine opener. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me? But like little things like you don't think of, I was not thinking about it at that time. So if you're going to
Well,
bring a
and
wine
border
opener,
control is
bring
going to be,
something that's not sharp.
yeah, border control is going to be a lot more strict too.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah. And then Krystle mentioned it when she was talking about jewelry. Really anything that is sentimental or has a large financial value as well, it's not worth it to bring that with you. because it can get lost, and there's really, in certain instances, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way for you to be able to find it, especially if you lose it on an excursion, or if it's lost in the ocean, or somewhere where there's nowhere to get it back. It's just not worth it to bring something that's overly valuable to you, whether that's financial wise or sentimental.
I would also be careful with electronics. Mexico has recently changed, but they're really strict about like if you had two computers and an iPad, they would like take one or fine you like thousands of dollars. They've kind of backed off that a little bit, but unless you like absolutely need a computer for work, maybe don't take it. Like if all your kids have iPads, maybe try and take it down to one or don't take them at all. Even I get hesitant taking my big camera just because I don't want it to be flashy. And when I do, I like clear my memory card, and my camera is 10 years old and it's insured, heavily insured in case anything ever happened to it. But just think it through before you pack it, and you never know what can happen. Well, I think that about covers it. Next week we're coming up on our so next week, 2 weeks, we're coming up on our birthday, and we would love some reviews. So please, please, please take 2 minutes and go leave us a rating and review.
We would love it. We hope everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to you all next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.